Hey guys, this is James,
Hey, I'm Kevin.
and we're gonna be talking about some basketball movies. Is that right?
That's right, yeah. James and I had the idea earlier this summer to get together and have a summer-themed basketball movie extravaganza where we get together and watch all movies related to basketball. So today we're going to talk about a couple of the ones we've already started. What do we have on tap for today?
Yeah. So we've watched four already. Our first one was He Got Game.
He Got Game.
Spike Lee classic, I guess, basketball classic. Then we watched White Men Can't Jump.
Wesley Snipes, Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, and then More Than a Game, and then most recently we watched Blue Chips a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so coincidentally or not coincidentally, three of the four of those films really talked a lot about like college recruitment as a theme.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna speak a little bit towards that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really impressed actually how far ahead of its time Blue Chips was.
Mm-hmm.
Just in the sense that like right now we're getting like the Ed O'Bannon case and all that stuff that's sort of like coming down on the NCAA, but people knew about this stuff like 20 years ago. People definitely knew about this.
Yeah, I think they nailed it right on the head about, like you said, being ahead of their time and speaking to what's going on. What blew me away was seeing the pressure that the head coach of a big college with a historically good athletic department, especially basketball, just the pressure that they're getting from everybody across the board to win. And in order to win, you got to get the best players, and to get the best players,
like college basketball and even more so college football, it is a industry that makes a lot of money and does not pay its athletes. And it shows you kind of like the coach and college coaches get paid very well. They're very incentivized to win, and like the college coaches also does a really good job of this. They have like the dual role of being like a really good basketball coach, which is sort of like what they showed Nick Nolte as being, like a very good teacher, good in instructing the kids, trying to get the kids through school, have them grow as people, but also as sort of like this used car salesman like that. I mean, like John Calipari is like the stereotype there of like the slick back hair and like selling the dream, going to coach the Jamaican national team or wherever Carl Towns is from.
I mean, it's true. You really see that with Nick Nolte's character, the head coach in Blue Chips, is he's got to make this pitch, and he's got to, I mean, I think at different points in the movie he claims to be Southern Baptist, Roman Catholic, and I think atheist at one point, just to make himself seem like a more desirable person for the kids that he's recruiting, and he's going into their homes, and he's really just putting on a front. He's making a pitch for them to come play at his school.
Yeah. And keep in mind that this guy is the one that's portrayed for most of the film as like the ethical alternative.
Yeah.
Even though he eventually, spoilers, dabbles and other stuff and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point. That I mean, he is essentially the moral light in basketball, but even the pressures to win and the expectations of his program, which in this was I think that we talked about. It seemed like they were maybe towing the line of portraying UCLA. Potentially with some of their historical references and things, but as the pressure comes down on him, he just can't maintain that level of ethics he wants to if he wants to keep his job and win, and he's got to play the game.
Yeah, and we saw a couple different sides to that coin. We've talked a lot about Blue Chip specifically, but also He Got Game takes a lot of those themes, and we watched that a couple months ago, I think, at this point. But that was also a movie that was pretty critical towards the college recruitment. The point of view was very different. You don't really see the college side of stuff, but that was also a really interesting film.
Yeah, definitely taking the point of view of Jesus Shuttlesworth and his family, him being the top high school recruit. Again, what blew me away is the pressures he's seeing, pressure to go to certain schools. We see some of the way that plays into his personal life. And it was interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like his girlfriend is like a mole, and like they're bribing him with like threesomes and stuff. And it's a little bit wacky. It's definitely a Spike Lee film. But,
certainly, yeah.
But that was the first film we watched, and I was pretty impressed with it. Yeah. And one of the weird things about these films that like I've used IMDb, the website, for probably over 10 years at this point. And like the rating system, it comes down really hard on these films. Like these films are much better, in my opinion, and maybe that's just because I'm a Hoops fan, much better than they are actually rated on the site. Like I thought Blue Chips, it's like below average on IMDb, but I thought it was a very good film. And He Got Game, I may actually prefer Blue Chips over it, but I also enjoyed that film quite a bit too.
Yeah, same. I think we talked about being just pleasantly surprised with the quality of some of these films. We've seen a couple even NBA actors try their hand in acting. Ray Allen in He Got Game, and Shaq and Penny Hardaway in Blue Chips.
And some random white guy.
Yeah, some random white guy. We don't know what happened to him.
Yeah.
I thought they held their own fairly well on the big screen.
Yeah.
What do you think of some of the basketball in the movies?
Yeah, so the basketball is also very impressive. It seemed like, especially in Blue Chips, they really, like, He Got Game, it has a lot of these, like, sort of stylized things. It's, like, dribbling, it's, like, lots of cutting and stuff. It's a very sort of, like, showy way to do it. Obviously, they have really strong basketball talent in Ray Allen in the movie. But, like, it's, I was more impressed with Blue Chips, I would say.
Blue Chips seemed like we were actually watching a really fundamentally sound team play and execute plays that they had been practicing. Really seemed refined, crisp passes. We were watching people set screens and cut during the game. It seemed much more holistic of a game that we were watching.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like even like some of like the teaching moments that they showed Nick Nolte in practice and stuff. And, frankly, I'm not sure what the decision on that was, if they just wanted to create a more realistic film and did a bunch of research and stuff like that, or if William Friedkin, the director who directed, like, The Exorcist and all that stuff before this, was just a big basketball fan and wanted to show it kind of like that. Because we all know Spike Lee is a huge fan of the sport. But the basketball is just, frankly, better in Blue Chips.
Certainly, Really, the only time we get kind of what seemed like unedited basketball in He Got Game was the one-on-one between Denzel and Ray Allen. And we talked a little bit about this, that Spike Lee actually intended for that game to be won by Ray Allen's character 10-0, but Denzel Washington just was too competitive, and as soon as they got on the blacktop, he just started playing hard, putting a body on Ray Allen, boxing him out, not letting him get easy shots, and they ended up playing the game out, and Spike Lee just let the camera run and shot the scene, which I thought was one of the better scenes in the movie, was when the two of them play. Yeah.
It's kind of like the climactic, one of like the scenes that's sort of like the heart of the film. Yeah, I thought that was an interesting scene, and like, doesn't it go up like 3-0?
At one point, yeah. Well, Denzel played college basketball at Fordham University, so he's definitely got some tricks up his sleeve. And
but how old was he then?
He's definitely, but he's significantly larger than Ray Allen. I think he realized how that point of Ray Allen's career is pretty scrawny. So I'm sure.
Oh yeah, Ray Allen was. I mean, Ray Allen's still pretty scrawny.
Yeah, that's true.
He's like had plenty of time to fill in.
That's true.
But like, how tall is Denzel?
He's got to be about 6'3", 6'4".
Oh, so he's almost the same size as Ray. Almost same height.
But a lot broader. Yeah, and he definitely used that to his advantage during the game. I mean,
maybe he's doing Malcolm X right before this. He's like doing a lot of weights.
Yeah, bulking up a little bit.
Like
getting in that
prepped.
Yeah, I can see that.
Assassinated.
Yeah, that was a good. He gave him a good run. It was a close game. What did you? What about the third one?
Yeah. We haven't talked about, and it's kind of like. It's a more tricky one to sort of like place in terms of those films, more than a game. The LeBron James documentary, and it really is more of, I would say, a personal journey for the kids, LeBron James, and it gives a lot of. It's not just a LeBron James documentary. LeBron James happens to be the most famous person in the documentary. And it gives a lot of space towards these kids and stuff. So you really get to see sort of like the bonding experience and stuff like that. And in terms of like the recruiting.
Yeah, it was almost like More Than a Game was like the real life manifestation of He Got Game and Blue Chips in some ways, where LeBron James is, I think in real life he was even more exalted than Jesus Shuttlesworth was in More Than a Game. He's
probably
hailed the greatest basketball player to ever play high school basketball. And I couldn't imagine the pressure that was on him. We see a little bit of it. The main focus of the movie is on their team, their high school team at St. Vincent's, St. Mary's, but you see some of the influence of the pressure that he's receiving being recruited and the pressure to go to the pros.
Yeah, and you can see him just grow, like, both physically and, like in terms of his own emotional maturity throughout the film, too. Like, it's a film that if you want to be a LeBron hater, then you should never watch this film. You should never watch this film, because you may not hate LeBron after that.
Yeah. I mean, we watched it right in the midst of the Warriors-Cavaliers finals, and I'm a big Warriors fan, and I actually, to some degree found myself rooting for LeBron, because the documentary makes me like him, especially given the context of these two other movies, and, seeing a bit of what that pressure and what that process may look like for him in real life. You realize that the fact that he came out of there relatively clean was pretty incredible. I think he had an incident where his mom received a Hummer, but...
I think she got, like, a loan for the Hummer based off of that.
Yeah.
And, the movie glossed over it in a way that's not totally clear
that's true.
What happened. But, yeah, I remember that incident, too. And, I mean, like, it deals a lot with the amateurism of the sport. I would say in this case, like, Blue Chips, that was sort of, like, the moral of the story, so to speak. And in He Got Game, that's definitely, like, a prevalent theme. In More Than a Game, that's sort of like a feature. It's like one of the things, but really the story is about the kids, and it's a good documentary. I think that's one of the few that's rated pretty well on
it was rated. I think one thing that impressed me about that documentary was you see that LeBron James has pretty much been dominating at a high level, dominating the sport of basketball since he was in 8th grade. I think a lot of guys in the NBA have been the best player probably in their city, 8th grade, high school. When they get to college, maybe they... there's some people that are on their level or better than them, and then they get to the NBA. But LeBron James has been almost head and shoulders above all his competition his entire life, which is pretty incredible.
Yep.
And he's maintained his work ethic, which I think is impressive as well.
Do we have any more documentaries on the list?
I think that's the only one, actually.
Okay.
Oh, no, we're going to watch Hoop Dreams. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. We're going to watch Hoop Dreams, which follows 2 high school students in Chicago as they go through the process of playing high school ball and then hopefully... going on to playing college and at the next level after that.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting because, like, in all these films, and, like, in More Than a Game, you don't actually know if LeBron James is going to make it. In Blue Chips, these guys are Penny and Shaq, and it's like Penny and Shaq after they got big, too. And you don't know that Shaq's going to win as many rings as he's going to win and stuff like that. But these guys made it, and they're making millions. Same thing with He Got Game. But, like, in Hoop Dreams, you don't know if they're going to make it or not. So it's sort of like, and I have yet to see Hoop Dreams. I think you've seen it.
I've seen it before, yeah.
And that's definitely one of the most acclaimed, I think, probably basketball films.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to talking about that one and watching that.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, that's interesting in that respect because, like, for every story about, like, someone that's successfully recruited or, like, people are cheating to get them to their school or whatever, there's, like, these stories of kids that didn't make it and, like, about the AAU system and all
That's
that
one of the things
stuff.
that really surprised me about More Than a Game was that they invest all this time and energy into this St. Vincent St. Mary's team really from about 8th grade, 9th grade. They follow them a little bit when they're playing AAU, and their investment really turned back because obviously LeBron James goes on to becoming one of the greatest players in the NBA. But I'm curious how many players similarly they've identified as being the next LeBrons, and they invest a lot of time and energy into following them through high school, and we just never hear about them.
Yeah, and it's pretty amazing that they have all that footage of LeBron James when he was, like, all the way in 7th grade or 8th grade and stuff like that.
Yeah, it just goes to show that the spotlight has been on him since,
for, like, well over half of his life at this point.
Yeah, definitely. It's incredible.
Yeah. Cool. So, I guess, anything else we want to cover, or?
No, I think today we're going to watch the story of Earl Manigault, the GOAT, and talk about that next week along with White Men Can't Jump.
Yeah, so some more street ball action.
Shift from the college and high school recruitment to street ball. So we're excited for that talk coming up next.
Yeah, Wesley Snipes before Blade.
Yeah.
Before he was a vampire, before he killed vampires.
Yeah, Woody Harrelson before, I don't even know if there is...
Woody Harrelson when he had just started to go bald. Well, wait, that would have been...
There's no role that really put Woody Harrelson over the hump. This might be prime Woody Harrelson, actually. White Man Can't Jump. I think it is.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know how old it is. It's pretty much impossible to tell how old Woody
Yeah.
Harrelson is.
Yeah,
but,
seriously.
But anyways,
Yeah.
next week.
Next week, yeah. See you guys then.